I am to report the terror cell is still active. I exited my bedroom and went into the bathroom about 30 minutes ago, around a little over 30 minutes ago, around 8:50 a.m. And once I had left my bathroom, at that point there was a TV that was on. It had been turned on for me to hear it. There was nobody at all in the terror cell that I could detect as I had left my bedroom on my way back in after I had flushed. There was, without any doubt, a terrorist trying to be heard, coming from floor 3, blasting a TV with an open bedroom door upstairs on floor 3. Within around 7 minutes of me being back in here, a terrorist fell and died in the house again. There was green light, 5 more law enforcement that are coming. This was green light last night, and this has been the case for almost a week. It's like this non-stop, around the clock group of 5, and they're literally law enforcement, and this is federal or precinct. It could be like customs. It was customs and border yesterday, ICE yesterday. So they take different turns and they die in this house, and that was what God guided me, and I literally see that all happening. It doesn't surprise me. Jesus doesn't play around. He tells me what's going on, plain and simple. He always has, and that's how I knew when I first came along in 2017. It was confirmed every day that they were really lying to everybody, and they were clearly playing games with the wrong military personnel, the U.S. military, and unbeknownst to me, I wasn't allowed to know about the Russian military. They were telling these really respectable, very experienced and trained people that they weren't doing what they're doing right to their faces. And this has been the ongoing statements and behavior for multiple years, and it's really a faulty tactic if you're going to keep that as your premise. You're doomed to fail, but they don't realize that. I mean, you can see that they don't have a lot of strategizing skills. Now, Putin used to be an expert strategist. I don't know what happened to him, but he's not anymore. Certainly not. And I don't know when he fell off the wagon. I don't pay attention to all this. It's for me, not my job. I need to stay safe in here. I need to pay attention to who's dropping dead around me. I need to know when I'm leaving that fucking bedroom door. And I need to know who's coming around me. And so the last 4 days has been just nonstop law enforcement, federal and precinct. And they come in groups of 5, and I just heard another one bite the fucking dust. It was a big individual, because they boomed really hard as they died. I do not feel any empathy. These men are coming in here. They're American citizens, and they're in law enforcement, and they're part of the reason why I've been so poor and in abject poverty and begging and desperate for help. I couldn't get any law enforcement, any police protection. I couldn't get any work. That's my college degree. Because of the New York feds, they were following me around outside of my college. I had to drop out. One semester, I had like 1 or 2 semesters to go. Who does that? Nobody does that. I was in obvious crisis, but I was on my own and I knew it. I was in such deep fucking shit. I had to run for my life from fucking the entire state. And then I came here, and then it got really bad, and I had to go overseas for a while. That was the tactical, deliberate things I did. Yeah. And I knew when I left England, they had made another attempt on my life through the police in England. Okay, it was clear what they were doing. Oh, clear as day. I knew when I came back to the United States, it was going to get really bad. I knew I was facing, and I put it in writing. I said the U.S. has all the bombs, like they make them. There's Timothy McVeigh's, and there's radicalized gang members. I had put this on my account up and down. I knew what I was coming back to. And they have guns and bombs, and they refused me work. They had already done that. Half of the people who should have been hiring me were fucking trying to end my life. Other law enforcement officers, so on and so forth. I tried everything I could with my criminal justice degree to get anything, anywhere, any sort of job. And that's when the entire U.S. government kicked their machine in and made it so I'm not going to describe what I'm talking about right now. I'm just going to make my point. At that point, I couldn't even get anything for a dishwasher. I was refused at least 100 dishwashing jobs, and this went on and on and on. It went from Chicago to California the whole time. It went, when I left California, it went the whole time I was in DC before they started killing fucking women in this house. Never could I ever get even an interview anywhere. And I've never in my life even heard of someone applying for so many jobs. I'm sure there's people who have, but I'm certainly one of them. I applied for absolutely tens of thousands of jobs. It might be a slight exaggeration, but I don't think very much, no. Nobody would hire me. I was in abject poverty by fucking force, and I had police following me at Greyhound bus stations on a regular basis if I got in a Greyhound. And if people want to know, let's talk about it, but let's not do YouTubes anymore. This is such a fucking disgrace. Okay? I knew the cops were making attempts on my life. I knew that from New York State. There's one reason why I fled. The shit I saw the NYPD 120, Precinct 120, doing. The shit I saw them doing. The ferry dock, Staten Island. Oh my God, when I started hitting them. Oh my God, I had to stop driving my car there. It was so fucking terrifying what happened in New York before I fucking fled. Anybody would have fled, but they would have done it before I did. I had to wait. And this is a whole thing to talk about, but nobody ever spoke to me in this whole 5 years. Not one American has reached out and asked me what the fuck happened. Yeah. What they do is they keep crawling in cubby holes. These are American citizens that are crawling through cubby holes that I am hearing fucking die in this house. That's what they did here. That's what the Americans did. This is historical record. The Americans are trying to desperately kill anybody who stands in their way in this country or outside of it. Some of them are believing they're in a race war, fighting the whites. Some of the whites believe they're fighting the blacks and everyone else who is not white. And then there's like a whole group of Americans who I don't know what they're thinking quite really, because they don't talk to me, so I'm not the one to really get a lot of insight. But clearly they want legal drugs. They want organized crime to be like the base of their government, and any real actual law enforcement, any real actual military that's going to stop the Bitcoin, that's going to stop the porno, the child porno, that's going to stop selling human organs. Anything that's illicit black market, they want as your base of government. They want to tear down all the prisons, let all these people out. It's really schizophrenically destructive thinking. It's clearly not someone who's mentally very sane or very well. And because of the fact, through social constructs that started being set and implemented in the 1960s, when this whole sovereign territory overthrow was developed and invented and put into action. It was more invented, it's always been there since World War II. And a lot of these neo-Nazis were in our military in Hawaii. But they really kicked it into governmental action in the 60s, okay, they did. And they attacked the minorities, a lot of them with the social programs. This is one of them. They attacked the people in general of our country through social constructs, through media. There's so many ways they did it, okay? And they knew what they were doing. It doesn't take someone with more than maybe a bachelor's degree to know how to do this. If you had like the master of the universe ways to do it. I mean, you'd have to be sinister. You'd have to have some control over some top heads in government. But look at our administrations. Look at our administrations in the 60s. Look at Nixon. Look at this. Come on. You think you can't? Look how many black civil rights leaders were being assassinated. That's what they were doing. They were assassinating Martin Luther King, assassinating Malcolm X. These assassinations could have been avoided. These people could have been protected. And it wasn't happening. They weren't going to do that. They started assassinating black leaders. They started attacking the brown and black population who were in poverty. The more they gained rights in the courts and so on and so forth. So this was set up deliberately, premeditated for us at this point by 2017 for Trump to bring on this overthrow that didn't happen. And it's because of a lot of the military generals who, like I said in my intro, were being lied to their faces. And it's not just generals, it's some really experienced intellectual people with a lot of expertise in whatever field, okay? You're telling the wrong people that you're not doing this while you're doing it. They're telling me I'm imagining all these cubbyholes and people dying and everything I've witnessed and heard and seen. This has been their primary premise for way too many years. Way too many years. I'm going to do a part 2.